$8 billion standard gauge railway project has been launched. The first phase of the project will cover the Tororo Gulu up to Nimule. This will be followed by the Kampala-Kasese-Katuna leg. Once complete, the standard gauge railway line is expected to move 1 million passengers annually, in addition to growing the volume of goods moved by rail. Welcome to Money Matters. Coming up on the show, optimizing benefits from Uganda's mineral resources, the unexplored potential of soya beans, and pre-packaged foods and the precautions you need to take before picking them from the shelves. The National Agricultural Advisory Organization, NAADS, is one of the government agencies tasked with transforming agriculture. In the 2014-2015 financial year, NAADS is set for a major restructuring. Dr. Mugasi, the NAADS Executive Director, explains to us what this process entails and the expected benefits.
The main focus of the restructuring is that the government is streamlining the extension function. For the last 13 years or so, agriculture extension has been a function of NAADS. But after a lengthy study and after evaluating NAADS and its performance, government thought that it was high time the extension system was reviewed and restructured. So the government now is coming up with what we call a single spine agriculture extension system. A single spine in the sense that we seemingly had like a parallel extension system. We had the NAADS staff on the one hand and the traditional extension workers on the other hand, which created some level of duplication and inefficiency. So now the system is being streamlined to have one chain of command, but what is important to note is that extension remains the function of the local governments under the Department of Production. The Ministry of Agriculture will only be providing oversight and quality assurance. So that's why you heard that the NAADS staff are no longer in existence in the districts. So that is the gist of the reform. But the NAADS Secretariat remains to play other functions that are outside extension.
Specifically, I was going to ask, what are the specific issues that are happening, at NAADS? I mean, what is exactly going to happen in the new NAADS that we look forward to?
Yeah, the NAADS Secretariat, even before these reforms, had many functions beyond extension. We were supporting farmers in agribusiness issues. We were supporting farmers in value addition. We were supporting strategic interventions like tea, like coffee, like fruits.
What are some of the benefits that Ugandans should expect out of this restructuring or reforms that are happening at NAADS?
One overall dividend, as we are saying, that is to increase efficiency and effectiveness. First of all, in the extension system that is being restructured into a single spine, but we also want to improve efficiency in the delivery of services, like especially inputs. Because now the Secretariat will be having the mandate of availing inputs to farmers. And we want to improve this efficiency, first of all, by ensuring that we avail quality inputs in a timely manner. And in this, we are going to be exploring the use of ICT, whereby we can use ICT in availing inputs to farmers. And we are looking at the available mobile phone applications. For example, we know now that mobile money has changed the financial landscape in this country. So there are available ICT innovations using mobile platforms that we are preparing and planning to use to be able to reach farmers with inputs, where a farmer can just receive a message indicating where he can get inputs, how many kilograms of inputs, even services like tractor hire services.
Talking about inputs, of course I know that one of the major challenges that farmers in this country face is the quality of inputs, especially seeds. is really, really poor and terrible. So how are you going to circumvent that so that farmers are able to get the right inputs to do the right job?
And one of the challenges farmers face is the quality of inputs. We find fake seed on the market, fake chemicals on the market. The Ministry of Agriculture is strengthening the inspection services to make sure that we have quality inputs on the market. And we have warned all our suppliers, because we procure seed from certified suppliers. These suppliers are certified by the Ministry of Agriculture, and it is only the certified companies that are allowed to deal in seed. But quite often, because sometimes there may be laxity in inspection, we find that some of the companies may put on the market seed that is unfit for marketing. So we have sent a strong message to the seed companies to adhere to the required standards. And we have also warned them that they risk being blacklisted and they risk being deregistered if they continue supplying substandard seed.
Now, Doctor, I know that these days we talk East Africa because we are part of the East African community. And I mean, Uganda is known to have a comparative advantage in the area of agriculture. Are we preparing our farmers to compete not just at the local level, but at the regional level as well?
Absolutely. We are targeting regional markets. And as you know, Uganda has a comparative advantage in most of the agricultural enterprises. And as you well know also, we are a food basket for this region. We export grain and other foodstuffs to South Sudan. We export to Kenya. We export to Rwanda. So indeed, we are targeting the global market. First of all, beginning with the East African market, the COMESA market, but we also export to Europe. We export fruits to Europe. We export flowers. And we also look in future to be exporting milk and meat products once we meet the required standards.
A new initiative aimed at controlling the under-declaration of discovered minerals by multinational firms engaged in exploration in Uganda is now underway. The effort, which is set to cost approximately 250 billion shillings, will see government directly oversee the establishment of actual mineral deposits countrywide prior to awarding mining licenses. How this effort will work and the expected dividends is our focus today.
The Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum is expecting reforms in the administration of exploration activities in the country to be captured in the new Mining Act that is underway.
We think $100 million spent on a project of this nature for exploring these minerals, which I've just put that out there, will be just a small start. If we wait for foreigners to come and invest in exploration, it is too risky. So they do not like to do that. They like to invest in something that is already known. That is why Uganda, Your Excellency, became very effective in oil and gas, because PEPD found where the oil was, then the oil comes.
Part of the fears are that the economy remains exposed to multinational firms that underdeclare the actual present volume of minerals during their own exploration activities.
Exploring possibilities of dealing with the private sector so that we can get a complete package of the country and see how best we can tap into these resources. The work that has been done, Your Excellency, is enormous. We have data which is now readily available for many of the strategic minerals that we have discussed at PEC that we now need to commercialize, and therefore we need to attract investors to come and invest in the sector in those strategic minerals so that they can support us in the transformation process.
This was at the third Mineral Wealth Conference held here in Kampala, which attracted a host of existing as well as prospective investors in the country's diverse mineral sector.
The lady from Demonte talked about Randgold in DRC. Randgold came into DRC on the back of a junior company. So when we are talking about the minerals policy, the race we're in developing, remember that the people in your team are juniors. Juniors are resource limited, cash limited, but we are the spear of the nation. We are the spear. We're right up front, and all the big guys follow us. So when you're looking at changing mineral policies, remember the small guys, because the small guys bring the big guys.
VAT levy on mineral activities equally took center stage at this year's forum, with private sector entities pleading with government waivers in respect to what they call heavy capital investments.
What I want is operations. Instead of wasting time with these ritual operations beforehand, taxes. Let the operation start, and we do the real business, and we shall tax anyway, indirectly or directly.
That's why we say you incur the VAT, but we allow you to wash it out of the system. It doesn't remain a hidden cost as part of the activities you are going to undertake. Your Excellency, it is true, of course, that impacts on their cash flow. That is the argument. But the way we minimize the cash flow impact is by allowing you to claim it out of the system within a period of 45 days.
Besides current mineral finds, existing players in the sectors of limestone, steel and phosphates are currently broadening their investments to meet internal and regional demand for their products.
The East African community, the total steel demand is more than 2 million tons per annum. And that is excluding Congo and Southern Sudan. When these economies pick up, then we will easily be able to produce 4 million tons per annum within the next 5 years. And that's how long it would take realistically to put up all of this capacity. So I strongly feel that it is justifiable not to export this iron ore. Let us keep it here within the East African community.
And in light of the ongoing phase of commercial production of oil in Uganda, the increased interest in the country's mineral wealth was also anchored by financial institutions.
And even with other lenders, you cannot finance a mine alone. I mean, it's huge amounts of investment. So we work closely with other lenders, with governments, with insurance companies, with a lot of people to bring together this development.
But beyond exploration review legislation, taxation regime, skills and financing structures, the country still has to effect smoother energy supply, rail and road network infrastructure in order to make Uganda a more competitive mineral harnessing economy.
Pre-packaged foods are oftentimes the most convenient choice to make when you enter a supermarket because, again, oftentimes they're ready to eat. However, next time, before you reach out to buy those foods for your own health and safety, there are certain aspects you should consider.
Before delving into today's topic, it's crucial to fully understand what exactly passes as prepackaged foods.
First of all, by the definition, these are goods that are sold in the absence of the consumer. You find them packed, labeled in a packet, say Splash.
Now that that's out of the way, you can ascertain that in one way or another, you have been a purchaser and consumer of prepackaged goods. Much as they provide some level of convenience, you may wonder if this convenience could come at a cost to your health.
Most of them are fit for consumption. And as long as I like advice to any other customer, before you take any other prepackaged good, please always check expiry date. Even if it's water, even water has got an expiry date marked onto it.
But even with the assurance that they're fit for consumption, as a consumer, it's your responsibility to look out for certain aspects that are a necessity on prepackaged goods.
There are normally requirements that require the standards body to be on that label. And one will be the name of the product. So if you just looked at it at the shelves, say it's a supermarket or something, should be in a position to say, I'm buying Splash, I'm buying meat, I'm buying this particular good. Then and after that, we require that every prepackaged good, there should be the person making that particular good, the manufacturer's names.
And because most of them undergo a certain amount of processing to ensure longevity on the supermarket shelves, it's also important that you look out for what is actually in the prepackaged foods, again, for purposes of your health.
There is a requirement that there will be ingredients onto them. And onto testing, as per the standard, onto testing, they test per ingredient as allocated on the label. So if you say there is citric acid, when they test, there should be citric acid. And then the maximum allowable is stipulated within the standard. So it will be tested real versus the standard. Then they will say it's a pass or it's a fail.
There are many businesses that someone can do in Uganda today. One of them is being a distributor for major manufacturers. While this form of business has potential to rake big money, few people know how to go about it. Today we share with you how you can accomplish this.
By 1st October 2014, the East African Community should have concluded, signed and ratified the Economic Partnership Trade Agreements with the European Union. This, though, has not come to pass. Because of the negotiations which are 7 years old, a transitional quota-free duty-free arrangement had allowed EAC exports to the EU, which is now no more.
So the EU, within that context, pointed out that countries that will not have signed and ratified or taken steps to sign and ratify by 30th September will no longer be eligible to access the EU market under the Market Access Regulation 1528 of 2007.
So that so-called EPA framework agreement has now expired. EAC exporters to Europe now have to resort to the unilateral, unnegotiated EU-offered everything but arms regime.
Now, in the case of the everything but arms, you can only source your production inputs from least developed countries or the European Union market, because it is only available for least developed countries. Uganda is classified as a least developed country. Kenya is not. Kenya is classified as a developing country. So we are at different levels of development. Now, if for a Ugandan manufacturer uses production inputs imported from Kenya, depending on the value that they make to the final product, the product may not qualify for preferential treatment into the EU market.
While Uganda has most of the goods still qualifying for duty-free access because they are largely agricultural, this scenario may not be sustainable. Meanwhile, for those exporting right now, they will have to use the GSPA form to make declaration to the EU customs, a change from the Euro 1 form.
Those exporters who had already sent their consignments with the Euro 1 and their consignments are not in at the port of entry in the European Union market as of yesterday, so either they arrived today morning or are still expected to arrive, we encourage them to come to Export Promotion Board and apply retrospectively for issuance of GSP Form 8.
The Kenyan exporters are bearing the brunt, as duty will have to apply to the EU-bound exports. The EAC is now under pressure to conclude a deal where the EU market is seesawing in a stick and carrot scenario. Samuel Setumba, NTV, Business.
Uganda has quite a number of generational potential crops, and one that is rarely talked about is soybean. Some visionary entrepreneurs have, however, started exploring the potential of this crop. Among them is Charles Nsubuga, the proprietor of Sesaco, a food processing company. This is his story.
The number of food entrepreneurs in Uganda is growing at a fast rate, with the agriculture blessing the country possesses. This week on The Entrepreneur, we visited Charles Nsubuga, the Managing Director of Sesaco Uganda Limited. He turned cereals, especially soybean, into nutritious products.
The real idea started in me far back 1978 when I was working as a casual laborer at Rocco Construction in Soya, digging trenches, and then I picked an idea of selling, nuts to my fellow workers, because these were not so special nuts. I mean, you just roast them and then sell to your fellow workers. Well, that's where the idea of food processing started from. And today, this is where we are right now.
Charles's determination to grow his dream business even further was propelled by the insatiable demand from his first clients.
Picking a business from a lactogen container size, you understand, at where it is right now, it means you've really traveled some distance. And that could have not been possible if customers never liked our products. There are many businesses that start so fast and then, fail out so fast. But ours has really been able to remain on the market simply because our customers have liked our products.
Charles also admits that all it takes to succeed in a business like his is upholding financial discipline.
I'm now talking about banks. And once you come, you bring in banks, it's no longer your own business. It has, indirect partnership with other organizations. Now, once people have got partnership with you, you must be disciplined. Because I normally say we use other people's money to grow our money. Your money is in my money is in your money. So I must have a discipline of separating my money from yours and give you back yours, and then I'm able to retain mine.
Soybean is a wonder crop. This entrepreneur says a lot can be produced from it.
I mean, this is a bean that can produce soy milk. It's a bean that can produce soya cup, or like something like cow. It's a bean that can produce meat, real meat. When somebody tastes it, it's like real meat. It's a bean that can produce porridge. It's a bean that can be eaten in different fashions. And once, Ugandans begin to appreciate this bean, they will really grow the bean.
Charles's business is of a capital-intensive nature, but how did he raise his startup capital?
Once customers keep on buying your products, you do the saving and then you keep on, going up. Secondly, we have banks in Uganda, financial institutions, we've been using them. No man is going to be successful without using other people's money. So use banks' money as long as you have the discipline of paying back.
And to grow the country's food processing industry, Charles notes that technology, among other things, is key.
Post-harvesting is so poor. In Uganda, our post-harvesting is very, very, very bad. Like if I took my stores, we get these raw materials with, stones, with, some other foreign bodies which are not soybeans. And sometimes they are put there intentionally for them to increase on the weight, or sometimes, carelessness. So once that one also can be really handled, I think we are really going to be on the real area.
He is also focused on taking advantage of emerging markets across the region.
We want to expand our market base. We want to cover the whole country, cover the region. Now the region has been open with this East African, cooperation. We can go to Kenya, we can go to Rwanda. The size of the market has really grown. We have soya cup, like I said. We have brown butter. Soya cup, I told you, it's used like coffee or tea. Originally, it was an alternative to coffee for those who are trying to avoid the coffee. But right now, it's some major, beverage. People are buying it, not even when they are sick. Then we have soya millet for porridge. We have brown butter for bread. We have daddies and mommy's snacks. We have soya milk. That's liquid and powder for those that are trying to avoid, animal fats.
Thank you for joining us. That was all we had for you on this week's edition of Money Matters. Do join us next week, same time, same place. Remember, we appreciate your feedback, so get into our Facebook page or drop us an email and we'll get back to you. Till next week, bye-bye.